Good day, everyone, and welcome to today's NHPCO's We Honor Veterans Partner Networking call. During today's presentation, all participants will be in a listen-only mode. Afterwards, we will conduct a question-and-answer session, and you will have an opportunity to share your stories. At that time, if you do have a question or comment, please press star 1 on your telephone to enter the phone queue. And as a reminder, today's call is being recorded. And now it's my pleasure to turn the conference over to Catherine Kemp. Please go ahead.
Hi, Lori. Thank you. Well, hello to everyone. Thank you for joining us for our first partner networking call of the year. Very happy to be here. We also have Hope Fost, our program coordinator that many of you know and speak with on a regular basis and love, as well as Sarah Meltzer, our VP of Access and Philanthropy. I'm also very excited today to be introducing you to NHPCO's new president and CEO, Ido Banik, and so we will be turning the microphone over to him just to give a welcome and an introduction.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for letting me join you. I just wanted to let you all know how important I think the work that you do is as the son and grandson and great-grandson of veterans, and so clearly I've failed myself, but I'll try to soldier on. I really, really value the work that you all do, just generally as hospice providers, and especially for folks who have served this country. Anything I can do to help and make sure that your voices are heard, I want to do, and I have just nothing but immense respect for the work you do, and I look forward to learning more and to being as helpful as I can be. So thank you so much.
Well, we're looking forward to today's call. First of all, just a couple of housekeeping duties. We're looking forward to seeing everyone in person that will be at MLC. We'll be making an announcement in the next couple weeks. We're going to try to plan something for partners to get together, a little meet and greet in person of some sort, so we're excited about that, and we'll let you all know when we have something planned. Also, I just wanted to thank everyone who did participate in our annual Educational Needs Assessment Survey. We had a really good response, and we thank you all for taking the time not only to fill that out, but to answer questions and comments and feedback. We really do take those to heart and appreciate all that you tell us. So we try to do what we can to make sure we're constantly improving and learning. So based on the educational needs assessments, one of the top 3 areas of educational need was palliative care. So we're very happy and excited to have our lovely Judith Scretny, the Director of Palliative Care here at NHPCO, on the call today. She'll be giving you some resources that you may not be aware of, and this will also help us develop our educational tools over the next year so that we're providing you with as much as we can. We're also really excited to have Lynn Simon and Andrew Schiavello, I'm sorry if I butchered that, Andrew, here to talk about virtual honor flight. I know that a lot of you in your communities and in your hospice veteran partnerships are participating in honor flights, and a lot of folks might not know that there is a virtual honor flight available for those veterans that aren't able to make it here to D.C. to go to the memorials. So that's something that we wanted to share with you. And again, following that, we're going to have a palliative care discussion with Judith, and then some updates with our lovely and always welcome Dr. Scott Shreve from VA, and he'll be answering any questions as well. And then at the end, we'll be opening up the lines for any further questions and just some discussion and networking. We want to hear what's going on with you on your different sites. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Linda Simon and Andrew to talk about virtual honor flight.
Hello, everyone. My name is Linda Simon. I'm the Veteran Liaison for Compassus Hospice and Palliative Care. And regarding honor flight, we have had a honor flight here in Philadelphia for about 5 years, and have had the opportunity to take many veterans down to Washington to see their memorial. But at one of the honor flight meetings here with the committee that as part of the leadership team, there was mention of other honor flights in the country who have done virtual honor flights to enable those who can't get to Washington, D.C. to see their memorials be able to have honor flight come to them. So when that was seed was planted in my mind, I reached out to Andrew, who is Andrew Schiavello, who is the president of the Philadelphia Honor Flight, to talk with him about, how could we do that here in Philadelphia? So I identified a facility in one of our partner facilities in the greater Philadelphia area, which is a continuous care retirement community, where they have, I'd say approximately 80 to 100 veterans who reside there, and approached the administrator and the activities director, and they absolutely loved the idea of launching our very first virtual honor flight. This really was a work in process. We had never done this before. So we met several times to brainstorm different ideas of how we could have this program and have it work best for the residents at this facility who are at different levels of cognitive ability as well as physical ability. So just like we do with an honor flight that is actually going by bus to Washington, which is how we go because we live, within a 3-hour time frame from Washington, D.C., we wanted to replicate as much of a regular trip as possible without leaving the premises. So the director of therapeutic recreation at the facility really contributed a big part of this program because she knows her residents, because she's been on an honor flight trip herself as a guardian, and because she has a passion for honor flight and for veterans. So she actually developed a slideshow that was prepared that really was a slideshow showing the different memorials that we typically visit when we go on an honor flight trip. And then she also coordinated a lot of the other activities that were involved. So, Andrew, you're welcome to jump in at any point. So please, feel free. But just to continue, we, on our honor flight, always give our veterans, a T-shirt. We give the guardians a T-shirt, and in this case, we just focused on the veterans and gave T-shirts to them. We also typically give jackets to our veterans, and for this particular outing, I don't think we did give jackets, did we, Andrew, for this trip?
No, we didn't because we were inside. Generally, the jackets are driven by the weather, what time of year we go.
Right. Right.
But we tried to mirror what we were doing on our flight. So, we fed them in the morning, which we normally do before departure. We checked them in. We gave everybody their name tags and their shirts, as we normally do. And then we took them into the hall, which was technically the airplane, so to speak. And we took off with a video, and we flew over Washington and landed in D.C. And so it took us stage by stage through each memorial. We followed the agenda of a normal day. And then we came home and we created the Heroes Welcome as well. We rolled out a red carpet, and the vets that could walk down the red carpet. We had the people on the side waving the flags. And the only difference is we took them outside, and when we went outside, we had the fire engines and the motorcycles that pulled up to greet them. And the mummers came as well. So as best we could, we mirrored what an honor flight would be for them.
Right. And, the mummers played patriotic music. Everybody was singing, and clapping. We had a fire engine that had a flag displayed outside so that when everybody came from the auditorium to the area where the police and the motorcycles and the fire trucks were going to be, they could see the big flag there. They were touched. I can only tell you that. They really felt touched, and they had given so much feedback after the event to say how honored they each felt. I think them walking down the red carpet to go outside is very touching for them because there's people on each side of the carpet, some family members, staff from the facility, friends of the veterans who have flags in their hands and they're waving them just as the vets are walking down that red carpet to go outside. So, you know, it was really a memorable experience for them all. Anything you wanted to add, Drew?
Well, I was going to say, it's relatively new to the honor flights. I believe the first hub to do it was down in Florida, which it kind of makes sense, right? That's an aging population down there, relatively speaking. And, you know, he presented it at the summit. Every year, Honor Flight has a summit in Baltimore where all the hubs will get together. So I think you're starting to see it expand amongst hubs. So for those people that are in different states or in different areas of the country, I would reach out to your local Honor Flight hub and ask them if that'd be a possibility for them to bring Honor Flight to the veteran into the home. Because, you know, like Linda had said, some physically can't travel, but some get anxious. They look at the long day, and I don't know if I can do it, and I don't know if I have the strength. So this kind of gets them going. And sometimes they want to come on a real Honor Flight now. You know, they want to go to Washington because of this, because of the impact it has made to them. And they remind them how much a country loves them and remembers what they've done for us.
So it's, you know, in the case of this particular virtual honor flight, it was the Director of Therapeutic Activities that put together the slideshow presentation, which was very helpful. And she also coordinated some of the local fire department, local police department to participate in the Welcome Home. And then the contacts that Andrew has with the mummers and with the Warrior Watch cycle group, they, you know, then were participating. So divvying out the different responsibilities and sitting down ahead of time and coming up with a timeline as to when certain things needed to be done by what date, so that you're not overwhelmed with doing so much at the same time, because there's a lot to do at the very end anyway. We gave goodie bags away for each person, just like we do on a regular trip and so forth. Some of our Philadelphia Honor Flight leaders also came and helped the day of the event to be able to support, you know, the staff at the facility who were also helping. You know, it was a concerted effort. Let me just put it that way. Anything else you can think of, Andrew?
You know, I would like to do it in more facilities, you know, in the local area, because it is something that means a lot to them. And like I had mentioned earlier, I believe our youngest World War II veteran has to be in their 90s. My father was born in 27. He got in toward the end of the war, and he would have been hitting 90 this year. Like something, you know, if with your help, we could promote it and bring it home to the vets.
Well, I'll definitely identify another facility where we could do this, Andrew. Perhaps this summer. I'm not sure if I'd be able to do it before this summer, but we'll see. It's always a little easier the second time than the first time.
It is, and you evolve and you think of other things to do and how to bring it up to the next level, that's for sure.
You learn, you know, what worked, what didn't work, and, you know, how to improve things, and, you know, it's always easier from that learning curve.
Yeah, they are developing something where you would put on these goggles and it becomes a 3D experience, but I think that scares me a little bit when you're dealing with aging men and women to wear something like that. So that's that's something I don't promote too much. I think it's let's keep it in the open and let them be able to talk to each other as opposed to put goggles on.
Yeah, that makes sense. Does anyone have any questions so far?
Yeah, I was about to say thank you, Linda and Andrew, both for your words of your experiences and your tips for partners. And yeah, we'd like to open it up now if any partners have any questions or have anything they'd like to ask or share.
And once again, if you do have a question or comment at this time, please press star 1 on your touch-tone telephone. And we'll go first to Charlene Hope.
Hi, everybody. This sounds like an exciting thing, and we have a facility that has all levels of care, independent, assisted living, and skilled facility long-term care, and I think it would be great. My question to you is, do you think that facility would be willing to share the slideshow with all of us rather than reinvent it again? I have no problem asking for that, and if she's comfortable with that, I'd be happy to email it, maybe to Catherine or I'm happy to do that. That would be great.
Yeah, definitely, Linda. If you get the okay, we'll be happy to put it up on the We Honor Veterans website under the partner resources.
Okay, thank you very much. Make myself a note to do that. Sure.
And we'll go next to Joe Schenkel.
Hi, this is actually Beth Brown. We're in Western Colorado, and I actually participated in 4 of our 5 honor flights to bring veterans back. But the mission truly was focused on World War II veterans. Is that still the focus, or I could envision this being opened up to Korean and Vietnam and making it more of a annual, meaningful event to more veterans than just only the World War II. Any thoughts on that?
Well, actually,
Andrew, okay.
Well, what I was going to say was in 2016, Honor Flight nationally flew 20,000 veterans into Washington, D.C. Out of the 20,000, 6,000 were World War II, 8,000 were Korean, and 5,000 were Vietnam. So that said, it is opening up and to all wars and conflicts, so to speak. So I think almost every hub has expanded who they're taking down.
Thank you.
And we'll move next to Sharon Crosby.
I may have missed this, but if I wanted to have or show a virtual tour of the Veteran Memorial in D.C. at a facility, how could I do that?
Well, what you would want to do is coordinate with the administrator in the facility and perhaps the director of therapeutic recreation to see if they, what their veteran population is, unless you already know that, and if this is something they would like to do for their vets. And, you could give them an example of an itinerary that you would put together to show them what it would be like for them. And I'm sure, each virtual honor flight would kind of be unique depending on the resources that you have to give to the veterans and the budget that you have.
Okay.
Where are you located?
I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I've been showing the movie Honor Flight at various different facilities. There's several of them that have a lot of veterans. But I thought if I could actually take them through the actual tour, the memorial, some type of way, for those who can't actually go themselves, I thought that would be pretty good.
Yeah, my first recommendation is to reach out if there's a hub in Oklahoma. If you just went to honorflight.org, all 141 hubs are listed there, 131 hubs rather. But that said, always feel free to call me or Linda, and I'd be glad to start the process with you, help you through it, initiate it, and give you some ideas on how to bring that to Oklahoma for those that can't travel.
Okay.
But we tailored it to Honor Flight Philadelphia, so we kept a local flavor to it. So that's the only reason I recommend you call a local hub, so you have the local flavor to it in the shirts. Like our shirts at Honor Flight Philadelphia, so it was all branded. But
right.
we could have just an honor flight shirt with no location on it, and I'd be glad to do that for you. It'd be an honor.
Okay, great. Is there a way that you can email me the contact information, or how would I get it?
I sure can. How do I get a hold of you? What's your email?
Cosby, SCOSBY, at roserockhealthcare.com.
I missed all that. I tell you what. How about if you mine's easy. Okay,
go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I'm Andrew. Okay, got it. SCOSBY.
At Rose.
Okay. Rose, ROSE.
Rock,
Rock, ROCK.
Right, healthcare.
Healthcare, okay.
.com.
Okay, easy enough. Fantastic. All right, I'll get that right out to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all for your questions, and again, thank you so much to both Linda Simon and Andrew Schiavello for your input. And if anyone has anything else that they wanted to ask and maybe didn't get a chance, or questions you'd like us to pass on, feel free to email us at the Veterans Inbox. That's veterans with an S at nhpco.org, and we'll be happy to pass those on. All right, so without further ado, we'd like to now hand the microphone over to Judith Scretny. Again, she's the Director of Palliative Care here at NHPCO with some palliative care discussion.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here with you. And, there's kind of a synchronicity in what we're all doing. And let me tell you why I think that's the case. About 3.5 years ago, we did a needs assessment at NHPCO, looking for what our members wanted, what they were interested in receiving in terms of education, and one of the very top issues was palliative care. As a result of that needs assessment, NHPCO decided to embark on a vigorous program of palliative care resource development. And that's when I assumed the position of Director of Palliative Care. So we're on the same table, or we're looking at the same issues is probably more appropriate. So what I'd like to do in the few minutes I have with you is to tell you what we at NHPCO have already done, what is available to you as participants in this wonderful project, and then hopefully get some ideas from you about what is still needed, what we can do, because our goal is to help you accomplish your goals as appropriately, as quickly, and as well as possible. So let me start by talking to you about what we've done. Very few people just, as a matter of fact, go onto a website and do a search. But what I'm going to suggest to you is that that's what you do with the NHPCO website, because we have populated our website in the past several years with a lot of information regarding palliative care. And some of the things that you have asked specifically for in your needs assessment are located on our website, and you can access them now. So in order to do that, step number one would be simply to go to the NHPCO website, which is www.nhpco.org. And by the way, Catherine has promised me that she's going to send links connecting you to these websites when the session is over. So if you didn't catch everything, you don't have to write it down. But it's our main website. And on that website, you will see a little block at the extreme right that says palliative care. And if you click on that block, it takes you to a site, a page, that has some very general information about palliative care. One of the things on that site that's very important is actually the definition of palliative care that we at NHPCO use. If you've been in this field or you're doing palliative care, you know that there are several definitions out there that people are using. We prefer to use a definition that is not primarily medically focused. And we use a definition that was developed by the National Consensus Project, and it starts by saying palliative care is patient and family-centered care that optimizes quality of life. And I'll let you read the rest of it. So yes, while there is a medical aspect to palliative care, it is much more than just a medical focus on the treatment of patients and families. So that's on the page. And then you're going to see a summary of legal and regulatory resources, some information on the Joint Commission's certification program, the new one on community-based palliative care. You're going to find information on some webinars and courses that we're co-sponsoring with the MJHS Institute for Palliative Care, which is situated in New York City. And in addition to that, you're going to find a link to palliative care resources for NHPCO members. Now, if you click on that link, it's going to take you to another site with the opportunity to download just innumerable resources that will be helpful in your work. The last one I just posted last week was a new resource that the National Coalition for Hospice and Palliative Care developed, and it's on MACRA quality payment. Anyone who's providing palliative care is likely billing Medicare B, and so this MACRA and MIPS issue is very, very important. We've got fast facts for providers. We've got more information about webinars and courses, a wonderful palliative care measure menu, which was put out by California State University, and that can be accessed by everyone, and that would help you develop some of these quality measures. But in addition to that, we have a palliative care resource series, which is available for members. So if you click onto the Palliative Care Resource Series and you are an NHPCO member, it will take you to a very robust offering of resources. They are resources that fall under regulatory, branding and marketing, clinical issues, program development, a little bit about the media. And these are the resources that we continue developing. It's a dynamic process. They're always in the course of development. We have a resource, for example, coming up in April that's going to deal with cannabis, the use of marijuana for medical purposes. In May, we're going to be starting a series of pediatric palliative care resources, and some of you may be involved in that. I just finished reviewing the one that's going to be posted in May, and it's going to be on developmental issues of children who have experienced a death or a loss in their lives. We have something coming up either in May or June on mindfulness, which I immediately thought might have been of interest to you because many of you asked for non-medical interventions when dealing with your veterans, and mindfulness is certainly one of those opportunities. So, as you can see, we've been working pretty hard for the last couple of years. We are always looking for subject matter experts to develop resources for our palliative care resource page. We do not have anything specifically targeted toward our veteran population, which simply makes me think that that's something that we need to begin doing. So in order to do that, in order to target resources for the veterans population, I would need the assistance of people like yourselves who are experts in dealing with veterans. We also have one last thing, and then I'm going to open it up for questions or comments. We also have begun offering a pre-conference session. NHPCO has two major conferences each year, and one is a management and leadership conference. The other is tends to be more clinically focused. This year we're calling it an interdisciplinary conference, but it is basically for clinicians. And so before each of those conferences, we are going to be having a pre-conference session on how to develop your community-based palliative care program. And the second part of that is how to make this program that you have developed work. So if anyone's interested in learning how to develop a community-based palliative care program, or if you have one that is fairly new and you want to make sure that you've got everything in place to maximize its success, please check our website. That's going to be offered just prior to the MLC. I believe the dates for that are the beginning of May, and the pre-conference session is the 2 days before it. So maybe it's April 30th and 31st. So, again, back to where we started. It looks like we're in the same place. We know that our members have asked for palliative care resources. Clearly, you're asking for palliative care resources. And I think this presents a wonderful opportunity for us to offer you access, or those of you who are NHPCO members, to let you know that we do have these things available, and then to see if, in fact, we can engage you in working with us on this further resource development. So, Catherine, why don't we leave it open for questions or see if there needs to be clarification?
Yeah, absolutely. If anyone has any questions for Judith or comments about programs, please speak up.
And once again, ladies and gentlemen, star one if you do have a question or comment. And just a reminder, star one if you have a question or comment. And it looks like I have none at this time.
Okay, no questions. Well, again, we're here if you an hour from now or sitting around and think, well, shoot, I should have asked Judith about that. Please feel free to reach out. We'll be happy to share your comments, questions, suggestions, feedback, anything and everything with her. So again, just reach out to us through the Veterans inbox. That's veterans with an S at nhpco.org. So before moving on, I wanted to quickly remind everyone about our recent quarterly newsletter that went out. You should have received that. If for some reason you didn't, let us know and we will help you update your preferences on mailings. Again, we do not like to bombard your inbox with emails or anything, so you will not be getting things, frequently. But we do want to make sure that you are getting these resources that we're sending out. And just to sort of tie this all in, of note, in our last newsletter, we shared with everyone that the new EPIC for veterans is available. So EPIC, for those of you not familiar, is Education in Palliative and End-of-Life Care. And this, as well as other trainings and resources, are available absolutely free on the VHA Train website. So all you need to do is go there and log in. You set up a registration. It's quick and easy. And if you're having any questions or issues logging in or signing up, we've made a handy-dandy screenshot guide to help you get registered. And then if you're still having questions, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll get you set up. So now, without further ado, I'd like to hand the mic over to our dear friend Scott Shreve for some VA updates and a Q&A session.
That sounds great, Catherine. Thank you. And I'm really glad you announced the VHA Train. I went online as you were talking, and I just typed in EPIC, E-P-E-C, as a search word, and all of the video training programs came up. And Dr. Amos Bailey oversaw, and Josh Hauser, if either of those names are familiar to anybody. And it's your tax dollars at work, so I really am grateful for being able to share that through that VHA Train mechanism. I was listening earlier. It's really it's pretty hard to top honor flight, virtual honor flight, and then you throw in the mummers. It's a great group. I get energized by listening in on these networking calls, and I just want to share a few updates from a Department of Veterans Affairs perspective, and then really much rather address any questions that are on your mind. ELNIC for Veterans has come up on some emails. Catherine and I are working to finish it. Catherine, don't let me speak for you, but I really think we're down to the final kind of editing and finalization of even just one module that if we get that finished, we hope to have that out with you. I think its release date, talking to a hospice audience, is on the order of weeks, not months. So we're getting close. A life-sustaining treatment decisions handbook. I doubt any of you or many of you have really heard about that, but I just can't resist sharing how proud it is to be part of an organization, the Department of Veterans Affairs, that spent, quite frankly, years putting a policy into place that requires all clinicians to have a conversation with any patient who has a life expectancy on the order of a year or two. And I just think that this is Judith's comments. This is even before they may need a palliative care specialist consult. This is engaging people with decisional capacity to find out what's important to them in a manner that surpasses advanced directives and other attempts at building and communicating these preferences and values. And I just want to put that out there, that I really believe VA is going to be even more of a leader in this area. The Department of Veterans Affairs has contracted with Vital Talk. We're in the process of disseminating training on how to have these goals of care conversations. And just to bring it full circle, you can go to a chart that's adopted this program, and it's one click to see the most recent goals of care conversation. So there's a lot of things, I guess, that all of us could say about how government operates, but boy, this really feels good to be a part of this, and I welcome trying to talk about that more, answer any questions related to that. Just a couple other things that have been on my mind. VA paid hospice. VA pays for probably on the order of 7,000 to 8,000 veterans to get hospice in a given year. Oftentimes, these are veterans that really have no other payer options. And I just wanted to share candidly, as I believe I've spoken with this group many times pretty directly, that the Veterans Access, Choice, and Accountability Act actually has created some complications. We were not permitted to use the funding from that Choice Act to pay for hospice up until November of 2016. We got permission to use the funding, but there were a series of caveats to that. Within 2 months, we were told that we were now not allowed to use the funding, and there are intense negotiations on a daily basis with attorneys and Office of General Counsel and what will be permitted and such as that. I guess my most important question to all of you is anyone hearing that a terminally ill veteran is being denied VA paid hospice, and if so, boy, I sure would like to hear about that, and I will follow up immediately. And then I guess the last thing is just a bit of a commercial. I have no commercial interest in it, but we're disseminating the Vietnam War commemoration pins. I think I've mentioned that the last time. I just want to put it out there. www.vietnamwar50th.com. And really wonderful this morning. We admitted a Vietnam-era veteran from our ICU to our inpatient hospice unit. And the palliative medicine fellow, internal medicine resident, and myself got to present a plaque that we present to all of our veterans we admit to our hospice unit, but we also got to share one of these Vietnam War commemorative pins with him, and it was very nice. You all know how rewarding those pinning ceremonies can be, not only for the person receiving the pin, but for those of us that get to put it on. So in a nutshell, they're my Department of Veterans Affairs updates, and Catherine, I welcome taking questions, and will do my best to have some answers.
And once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you do have a question or comment at this time, please press star 1 on your touchtone telephone. And we'll pause for a moment.
While we're paused here, I wanted to share, some of you have participate in or are familiar with the No Veteran Dies Alone program, and at different VA medical centers it actually may have a different name. We haven't, I have no desire for it to be all branded under a specific name, but I wanted to let you know we recently released a resource manual, pretty extensive resource manual, and I just was so delighted to share that I was invited to speak at all the VA medical center directors of voluntary service hold a meeting once a year, and I was asked to speak at their annual conference about how to implement the No Veteran Dies Alone program. And so I just put that out there that, I still have a bit of a dream about us sharing volunteers when veterans come to the VA, that volunteers kind of just come along with them if they've developed a relationship in the community, or vice versa. Maybe when veterans get discharged, that maybe some of the VA volunteers could follow in the community. So we'll keep working towards that dream. But any questions that came online?
We do have several. And
oh,
we'll
great.
go first to Bernadette LaPaglia.
Hi, Bernadette.
Hey, Dr. Shreve, Bernadette LaPaglia here.
Yes.
And I'm also here with my colleague, Julie Bedour, who serves as Life Enrichment Director at Villa at Terracina Grand. My specific, let's see. I think both of my issues are related to the newsletter. The first one, and I'm wondering if my experience is unique, the newsletter was too blurry to be read. I don't know if that's still...
Catherine, I think Catherine may be better to answer that than me.
Yeah, hi Bernadette. Sorry about that. That may have been the device that you were reading it on. We can resend that to you, and just so you know, it's also up on our website.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe check on there, and if you're still having issues, shoot Hope or I an email, and we'll get you squared away.
Okay, wonderful. And then this an inquiry / recommendation for the newsletter. Dr. Shreve, I don't know if you recall on our last conference call how upsetting I found that article to be about the veteran who was deceased at a particular veterans facility, and he was not discovered until that said, I continued to identify articles in local and national newspapers about issues involving veterans that in large part beg to be edified. And because I feel that we are blessed with the capacity to advocate as a group, an organization, I'm wondering if the newsletter could accommodate a section where such articles could be sent in, even encouraged, the links perhaps to be sent in, so that we can really be fired up about the importance of our advocacy and with that importance becoming more insightful as to how we can address them at a local and or national level.
Yeah, hi Bernadette, this is Catherine. I'm not sure if the newsletter would be the correct venue to share those on, but I would definitely encourage you to send you and everyone else anything that you find onto the veterans inbox. I think, as I've mentioned on here before, we're definitely open to keeping any discussions going that our partners would like to facilitate, and we do have the venue for that in the My NHPCO We Honor Veterans group. So this, again, is a forum on the NHPCO website for partners to share information, resources, ask each other questions, anything they please, actually. And so I think that would probably be a better venue to share these sorts of articles and any other discussions you want to hold about this.
Okay. And then lastly, for Dr. Shreve, are you aware of any particular follow-up regarding that dreadful issue in terms of how it was addressed?
I need to be somewhat careful there, in the sense that I am confident that there was disciplinary action taken about the handling of a veteran's body at a VA facility. From everything that I know, this was an isolated event. That there has been a congressional inquiry. There's been a local inquiry by when I say local, by the VA facility, by the VA regional leadership, and then by VA leadership in Washington, D.C., and then a congressional inquiry over all of that. I don't believe it would be appropriate to go into specifics on this, but I guess I would emphasize it. As far as I know, and I have to respond to all of the inquiries about these kinds of things. This is and has been an isolated event.
Well, let's hope it never happens again, because it really was horrifying, and I appreciate what feedback you are able to offer us.
Thanks, Bernadette.
And we'll go next to Toby Weiss.
Hi, Toby.
Hi.
And I welcome being
Dr.
called Scott, by the way.
Hi, everybody. I just want to say I love the refreshing of the website, the We Honor Veterans website. I'm not sure when it was done. It's been redesigned or refreshed for a while. But here's my question. We're a community hospice. We collaborate very closely with the local VAs, 3 of them in particular. Yet we have a very large patient population, and we're serving, thank God, a lot of veterans. And still, when we need help, we need it kind of fast. And we have a very difficult time when calling the contact numbers at the VA. And I'm wondering if other people have the same experience. If you're lucky enough to get that person to pick up, that's fine. But otherwise, you get put through these menus, and then eventually you get hung up on. You can't even leave a voice message, and it really creates hardship. Does anybody else experience that?
Oh, I am sure other people have had difficulty finding, the right person or persons. But can you give me an idea of where you are and what are the 3 VAs you're working with, Toby?
Yeah, we're working. We're in New York City, and the 3 VAs that we collaborate very nicely with are St. Albans in Queens, the Brooklyn VA, the Harbor, 4 in Brooklyn, part of the New York Harbor System, and Manhattan, and the Bronx. And we have the contact sheet, from the We Honor Veterans Initiative, and we know who to call. But it's not always simple to get the information that we need if you don't reach that person directly, and particularly around benefits. So there's a lot of different websites to have to navigate in order to put together the whole, the whole puzzle.
Yeah, I really think you're talking about a region of the country where we probably have one of the strongest hospice veteran partnerships, and I suspect you're a part of HIP-CANUS.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. And Dr. Carol Loers is probably one of the most effective regional leaders for palliative care. She oversees the palliative care in that region of the country.
Right.
I think I think we can get you some contact information. And Catherine, do you want Toby to respond via email, and I can get her more specifics or whatever is best there. But then the next point I was just going to make is that, even after we get you the right, name and persons, hopefully to contact, so you can get some rapid response. I can't emphasize enough that the Department of Veterans Affairs is more than one organization, and I don't work for the benefits side of the house. I work for VHA, the healthcare side, which is probably most of the people you typically deal with, and the benefit side is a whole different organization, and that would lead, please don't expect the palliative care team at Brooklyn to understand the detailed and specific nuances about which veteran gets what pension or benefits or service-connected dollars. So, but we can get you the right numbers to call to find out who is the person to help with benefits.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We actually had, and for anybody else on the phone who might be interested, we actually had a very, very positive and successful presentation. I reached out to the national or the regional VBA outreach coordinator, and we had a presentation by the person that covers this area for our entire social work department. So that was very helpful. We're trying to figure out, we're trying to get all of our ducks in a row, and we're level 4. It's not like we're new at it. We're doing this for a while already, but there's just so much information, and I'm thinking that it might be, at least from our vantage point, if there was a liaison, somebody who understands how to navigate both sides of the house, if you will, that can be a point person, a navigator for us to be able to reach out to and guide us when we're, coming up against a wall. I don't know if there's folks like that who function in that capacity, but
I think you're talking to him.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
We really we would benefit from knowing that there's somebody that could help us navigate more quickly.
Yeah. I don't know of such a job description within VHA or VBA, and part of the driving force behind our hospice veteran partnerships and the We Honor Veterans program is to help you navigate, frankly, the bureaucracy of a Department of Veterans Affairs. A very complex organization,
yeah.
and there's turnover, and people change positions, and I can tell you that it's been a challenge. There's been a lot of upheaval over the last couple of years. So we'll get you some names that will get you at least some quicker answers. But I would just say keep reaching out to Catherine or to me, and we'll get pretty quick turnaround because we know the people that you need to talk to, and we'll get you their contact information.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, hi Toby. It's Catherine here. Please feel free to shoot me an email, kkemp@nhpco.org, or to the Veterans inbox, and we'll get you those names.
Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you at the MLC.
Sure. Oh, we do as well.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Toby.
And we'll go next to Debbie Flegging.
Hey, you said my name right. Thank you. Dr. Shreve was talking about and said that if anybody had problems with the VA denying their patients hospice benefits, we have had that. We actually had received a patient from that they transferred to us from another hospice locally. This patient is receiving $300,000 bills from that hospice, and we have still not been able to get hospice benefits. My business office manager is in here when that question came up. I popped in her office, so she might be more apt to ask the actual correct questions and whatnot. I'm going to put the phone over by her.
Okay, Debbie. And I just want to make sure, so, by law, Congress passed that, hospice is a part of every enrolled veteran's benefit package. And I believe I can say confidently that our new secretary, Dr. Shulkin, would be very unhappy to hear of any VA facility denying a terminally ill veteran access to VA paid or VA provided hospice. So I very much would like to learn more about the specifics here, and I assure you that I will follow up very rapidly on that. So I don't know, maybe emailing Catherine might be the best way to initiate that, but I don't know that we should publicly get into too much details. But I want to know about it. I want to hear about it, and I promise to follow up on any of these kinds of reports.
Do you mind giving us Catherine's email?
Yeah, hi. Again, my email is kkemp, so that's KKEM as in Mary, P as in Peter, at nhpco.org. I also, along with Hope, monitor the Veterans Inbox, so if you send one to there, I'll receive it as well. Again, that's veterans with an S at nhpco.org. It's also our Contact Us page on the website.
Right.
Thanks, Debbie. And this is, how do I want to say this? I've looked into a few of these so far where it was suspected that a veteran was denied. In one case, the veteran never was enrolled, and VA can't go back retrospectively and pay a bill before they were enrolled or before they requested VA to be the payer. So that we can't do. But boy, if someone is enrolled in the VA and has sought out that service, what we are very much trying to avoid is VA facilities making what I'll call is a pro bono referral of an enrolled veteran to a community hospice. That's not appropriate. And so thank you, Debbie, for speaking up, and we will follow up.
This is a concern that we've been very, very concerned. This patient is a World War II veteran, Battle of the Bulge, Purple Heart recipient, and he deserves everything that he deserves, And we've been very worried about it. He's very depressed about getting all these bills, and so when I heard that, I think that I don't know that he was enrolled before, but I think one of our chaplains who is a veteran, helped him to get enrolled once we got him on service.
Okay, well then I think that may answer the question. If he was not enrolled, the Department of Veterans Affairs just we can't pick up the bill without the veteran being enrolled and engaging and requesting the hospice care proactively or prospectively. So I think that may have answered our question. Yeah.
Okay.
Even if you're Purple Heart or you're wounded or whatever, many veterans, I don't understand why, but many veterans, for whatever reason, choose not to get enrolled. The most common reason I've heard is veterans saying, "Oh, I want to leave the VA to those who really need it." And here you have a Purple Heart recipient who, it sounds like, is at end of life, and he may just have gotten enrolled for the first time in his entire life.
Okay. Our chaplain happens to also be his family's pastor, so I may end up handing some of this over to him, and between him and our business office manager who you spoke with. But I thank you for the information, and that way they can clarify all this, okay?
Sounds good, Debbie. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your input.
And we'll go next to Carly McDonald.
Carly.
Yes, I just wanted to actually make a comment that I'm just starting out working with the VA. It's a new contract for us this beginning of the year, and I'm here in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and we work directly with the Battle Creek location, and I just wanted to share that so far we're having good experiences. We do have a liaison that directly will answer any questions we have and assist with any services that we're needing to get for our residents. And we did recently have one that required a hospice benefit, and it was a very smooth transition to get him on to their preferred hospice provider. So I just wanted to let you guys know that, whatever the Battle Creek's doing, it's a new contract. They have really been trying to make it a pretty smooth process, and I see that the veterans are getting the services that they deserve. So.
Well, thank you. Boy, it's nice to have a positive comment there. Appreciate you sharing. Do you work with Dr. Julie Rayfeld or Starla Miller, or who else might you, or Keller, Starla Keller? Or?
It's all new right now, so they have I've just been working with the chief of social work over there, Joseph Dudley, and then they have appointed, like I said, the liaison, Alicia, who's new to her role, and she's very dedicated to getting us the information that we need. And she just went through the whole enrollment and what qualifies and what doesn't, and if they're not enrolled, the services won't be paid. So they're doing a good job trying to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Sounds great. Thanks for sharing.
And Marcia Bowling, please go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Shreve.
Hi, Marcia.
Hi. I'd like to ask just a little bit more about the LNEC for Veterans module that you said is coming out in weeks. We have an LNEC certified training nurse.
Okay.
And she and I had been trying to track down this information specifically, so I'm excited to hear about this. So my question is, how will we know when that comes out, and will she be able to access that through her LNEC, because she's a trainer, through her LNEC website?
Wow. I can't speak for Betty Farrell and Pam Malloy, but I'm pretty confident, and Catherine, I welcome you chiming in, that the VA and NHPCO, We Honor Veterans, that we are going to make the curriculum widely available. And Catherine, you were thinking about putting it on the We Honor Veterans website, am I correct?
Oh, great.
Yeah, absolutely. So for everyone out there, the moment that this is finished, we will be, shouting it from the rooftop, sending it via email. It'll be on our website. Carrier pigeon, anything you can think of. We want to make sure that everyone knows this resource is available, and it will be up on our website.
That's wonderful. I appreciate that. And I also would like to just compliment we deal with the Cincinnati VA. I'm in Cincinnati, and I cannot speak more highly. The relationship and the hard work that they do for the veterans and the relationship that they build with the local hospices is incredible. So I want to give them a compliment, too.
Wow, that's really nice. I appreciate the feedback there very much. We've been working with Mary Davidson as the Regional Palliative Care Program Manager, and she actually was detailed to help us out in Washington, D.C. for the last 2 months. But there's the Cincinnati group has been nice. I visited them a few times, and we're partnering right there, kind of down the street from the medical center is what we call our inpatient evaluation center. And what we've kind of collaborated with them on, is just a quick bit of background, is to identify patients who got admitted to the ICU or acute care, and then within a couple of weeks of admission, had a hospice referral in. And what we're starting to do is to communicate out to VAs nationwide. By the way, here's a list of, let's say, a dozen patients who were admitted to your ICU, got hospice a week or two after admission. You might want to look at them and see, should they have had the discussion or goals of care conversation, 2 or 3 weeks? Maybe that admission to the ICU really wasn't consistent with the veteran's goals of care. Maybe the conversation should have happened months or even a year or so before. So anyway, Cincinnati has a lot of resources for our program office, and we're looking forward to using those resources going forward.
We also have a program called Conversations of a Lifetime, and had contracted with Vital Talks for the past 3 years, and been training physicians in Cincinnati through the Vital Talks program, and also social workers, care coordinators, physician offices, and we've offered to the VA also the training for the MOLST, or some places call it PULSE, and so that's part of the reason why we want the LNEC curriculum to add into our Conversations of a Lifetime presentation, so that we can get more specific on how to tailor some of those conversations for veterans.
Yep. Oh, I agree. So, you've received the Bob Arnold, James Tulsky, Anthony Bach. They're just so good at Vital Talk, at teaching people how to communicate. And I agree with you. I think LNEC for Veterans is probably one of the most valuable resources for non-physicians, and we'll get it out as soon as we can.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And just a reminder to the audience, it is star one if you have a question or comment. And we'll go next to Elizabeth Conrad.
Hi, I have something to talk to you about with Dr. Shreve. I'm with Mission Hospice out of Cleburne. We are a level 1 star. We're working on our level 2 right now with the We Honor Veterans. And he had talked about issues with getting benefits for patients that are unfunded, and we have a lot of rural areas that we serve. I'm out of Cleburne, Texas, which is near Fort Worth and Dallas, about 45 minutes from Fort Worth and about an hour or more to Dallas. And sometimes we get closer to Waco depending on what's going on. So we deal with the Dallas VA, the Fort Worth VA, and there's an office in Granbury, I believe, and then one down in Waco. And we had one come on service with us that was living in deplorable conditions in basically a shed, if you will, attached to a mobile home that was rotted out. And he had an income from he was already enrolled in the VA, and he had an income. He was a Vietnam veteran. And to get him, assistance or get him placed in a facility, we had a lot of difficulty making contact with anybody at the VA. I know our social worker tried to contact the VA on several occasions and couldn't get anyone to call her back. And I gave her a specific social worker's number that I'd worked with in the past, that before she was able to get a contact with him, the patient passed. And so the patient ended up passing in the shack that he was living in. He had a brother who was misappropriating his funds. There was issues with some alcohol abuse, some mental health issues going on. What recommendations would you have for us to help this particularly difficult, population when they can't see that they maybe need to leave the area they're in? And then also, I just want to let you know, too, that there was difficulty in getting a hold of the VA, even though he was enrolled.
Yeah, well, I guess the first thing in my mind is getting you, an appropriate contact at the VA, because I'm sure it's frustrating to call an operator and ask for something, and I don't know that our operators always know where to put you through to. So I just want to let people know it's usually pretty easy for Catherine and I to find the right person, and I don't want to overburden Catherine's inbox. But this is something that I think we can help out with, and it's pretty easy for us usually to get you in touch with the right person. And then usually once you've reached the right person at the VA, now comes, to me anyway, the bigger problem of a veteran who's entrenched, in this rural home and may not be what I'll call accepting of care, and then it gets to be a bigger issue in terms of, do legal authorities need to be engaged, or will the veteran accept something like our home-based primary care programs are growing quite rapidly and often are that liaison for veterans who are too sick to come into a VA facility. And when I say our home-based primary care, this is not hospice, and they're not even labeled palliative care, but they do travel pretty extensively across the country. I can't say we cover the entire United States, but if you're within an hour, 45 minutes of a major facility, quite oftentimes the home-based primary care VA team can go out and do some assessments anyway, and then engage.
That's good to know. Yeah. That's good to know. That would have been beneficial. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. You were. It was a little blurry on my end of your connection there.
So that's good to know, because it would have helped to have somebody that had come out and kind of perform a mental evaluation in this case for him. We did call the APS local authorities, and a lot of times the biggest thing that they'll tell us is, oh, well, they have the right to live where they want to live. And that's all fine and good if they are able to, competently make that decision. And this is no indoor plumbing, no indoor electricity really, except for in a couple spots. This happened to be in the wintertime, so then, there was all these space heaters and trash, and there was a big pile of dirt that was in the corner. I mean, it was bad news for him, and it was very sad.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you intervened, and I just share kind of thinking out loud that, Vietnam-era veterans, oftentimes came from a battlefield to being kind of on their doorstep at home, 24 to 48 hours later. Really, oftentimes not a transition. Clearly, almost everybody on this call probably knows, there was no ticker tape parade, and oftentimes in the hospice unit where I work, we say thank you for your service, and the response is, no one's ever told me that, and you may or may not know, but the veteran centers were established across the United States, specifically removed from a VA medical center because Vietnam-era veterans really didn't want to come to a government facility or to be a part of a government process. So anyway, when I hear of an isolated Vietnam-era veteran, I still wonder if the impact of that military combat experience isn't still pervasive in isolating himself or herself from the rest of the world. So anyway, thank you for intervening, and hopefully the next time you have trouble with contact problems at a VA facility related to hospice care, contact us, and we'll get you some people involved pretty quickly.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And we'll go next to Jody Gillette.
Hi, thanks so much for taking my call. Both of my situations have occurred with veterans whose doctors had left our local VA clinic, and had not yet been assigned to a new physician. And I don't know if you've ever heard of that scenario, but one of them, I would like to give a quick shout out to my connection at the El Paso VA. Amalia Dazinski just does an outstanding job, and she's trying every way in the world to help me with one of these two veterans. She has always told me, because our clinic, I think, is one of only two who does not have inpatient. They are just simply a Monday to Friday clinic, and then they are attached to William Beaumont Army Medical Center Hospital. But as far as the VA having an inpatient themselves, they don't. And therefore, she said, as long as you have a veteran, the hospice piece is attached to the veteran's benefits. And if you need to admit somebody over the weekend, you need to call me on the day of admission. You can't wait until Monday. But because we already know that veteran is going to have the hospice benefit available to him or her, you can call me and you can leave me a message, and we can create the authorization that you're going to need. So that very scenario presented itself. We called, we left a message. That part was not a problem. The problem was this veteran was not assigned a physician, and so now Hospice El Paso cannot get reimbursed for that veteran's care. It was only a couple days, but it's the whole process and trying to better that we're looking for answers to, because now we can't get any physician at the VA to sign off on it. And the other veteran I wanted to bring up, the exact same scenario as far as his doctor had left the VA. He had not been assigned a physician, and his wife called and saying that her husband needed hospice care. Well, his hospice was very delayed because, again, we couldn't find a physician to sign off on to provide the orders. They wouldn't have, agreed to do it because they hadn't seen him, and he barely was admitted, and I believe he passed from the point of admission. I believe he passed like the very next day, and that was heartbreaking.
Yeah, Jody, let me just thank you for bringing it up, and I thank you for putting a shout out to Amalia Dazinski. I'm really pleased, that you have a good liaison person, and that they're working with you to get the authorization done. If it happens on a Saturday or Sunday, you leave the voicemail, you get the authorization in on Monday. The doc assignment issue, I just want to tease that out for a minute. The VA does not require by policy for a VA physician to be the attending of record, and I want to I just want to be clear that the VA does require that if VA is going to pay for the hospice care, a VA physician must approve and review that veteran's record to say they are appropriate for hospice care, but it doesn't require that the VA physician sign the initial orders. And I just wonder, Jody, if in talking with Amalia, and we might want to get together on a conference call with Amalia, but just to say, is she working with you to try to get a physician to sign the initial orders, or really all she needs from a VA perspective is a physician to say it's appropriate for this veteran to be receiving hospice care, go ahead VA and pay for it, someone else sign the initial orders, and it can even be a non-VA physician to sign the initial orders?
Okay, I can answer that, and I can tell you that it is our understanding that in order for the veteran to receive the hospice benefit under his or her veteran's benefits, that they do make a VA physician sign the order. Now, if we get a patient who is referred out of one of the community hospitals, one of the area hospitals that is not the William Beaumont Army Medical Center hospital, whenever I will call it into Amalia, I'll tell her, this patient was referred to us. She is a veteran. These are the last four of her social. Amalia still gets an order signed by a VA physician, and that's exactly the problem that we encountered with the first one. So maybe that's a misunderstanding, that we don't actually have to have the order itself.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident that's a local practice because that's not in our national policy anywhere, and that's kind of something they put into place. And if it's okay with you, if you just want to email your question, what I'd like to do is I'm going to call up Amalia and find out about their local practice, and then I'll get back to you, because what I might be able to do is make it easier for them and just saying, Amalia, really all you need is a verbal or email communication, or even just a progress note in that veteran's record that a VA physician says, you know what, this veteran is appropriate for hospice. End of story. I don't need to sign an order. I don't need to do anything. And then you take the ball and run with it.
That would be great. Which, do you want me to send it to the veterans email?
Either one, veterans or Catherine Kemp, and I'm going to follow up with Amalia and just learn more about their local practice, because that's not a national policy.
That would be tremendous. Thank you so much. Our big concern here, again, because our local VA doesn't have an inpatient, we get a lot of referrals on weekends, and we're very diligent about following through with the military history checklist from the point of contact, so we know right away, is this person a veteran or not? And if it's a Saturday and Sunday, they're hesitant now, because they're saying, well, this gentleman may have passed in within 48 hours, but what if we have someone who doesn't pass that quickly, and we're looking at a large bill that would normally be covered, and so they're a little hesitant, and I don't want us to get into that practice either.
I agree.
So any help you guys could offer would be fantastic. I'll send an email and then look forward to a follow up.
Good, thank you, Catherine. I feel like we're using up all your time.
Oh, no, carry on.
Actually, there are no further questions or comments at this time.
Oh, okay. Well, again, thank you so much, Scott Shreve, for being on the call and for answering so many questions as always, and also to both Linda and Andrew for speaking to us about the virtual honor flights, and also to our dear Judith, for giving us some palliative care updates and pointing you all in the right direction for some resources. And again, those resources that are available, we're going to link in the partner notes just so you all know where to go and are able to find those. And again, if anyone that was on the call has questions about contacts in their local office, please feel free to email us so we can get you in touch with the right person. Again, you can email me. My email is kkemp, K-K-E-M as in Mary, P as in Peter, at nhpco.org, or our veterans inbox, and we'll point you in the right direction. We'll get back with you as quickly as we can. So again, since no one else has any further questions, we're looking forward to the next call that will be in June. I believe it's June 14th, whatever that second Wednesday is. We have the remaining calls of the year scheduled and up on our website, so be sure to mark your calendars. And again, thank you for your time and for all that you're doing as partners of We Honor Veterans. Enjoy the rest of your day and have a great weekend. Thanks, everyone.
And ladies and gentlemen, once again, that does conclude today's conference. And again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today.